welcome to Audio Addiction. We have all systems no, and he can say his name and what he does in the band.
My name is Max. I play guitar and I attempt to play keys for the band All Systems No.
Awesome. So my first question, Max, how'd you start out the band? How'd you get your members?
So I moved to Los Angeles in 2013. I moved out here from Chicago. I had just completed my undergrad and I just moved out here. I really wanted to attempt to do music, and I had found a group that was looking for a keyboard player, and the band that I was playing in Chicago was just playing guitar. It's like, well, let me try something a little bit new. So what I ended up doing was I found this guy. He posted on I think it was like a Facebook, like a local Facebook group looking for musicians, and I answered that. That band tanked. It was full of just drama. Like the guitar player and the drummer got into a fight, and I kind of saw the writing on the wall. Just like, you know what, I'm good. Let me try starting my own thing. And then I met our drummer James on Craigslist. Believe it or not, it's funny because we were both the only ones on Craigslist in our ads that had Closure in Moscow in our influences.
Oh.
So once I saw that, I literally messaged him and I was just like, "Hey, you're literally the only other person on Craigslist that has listed Closer in Moscow as an influence. So regardless of this works or takes off or not, let's at least meet and have a drink." And so that's how I met James, and we've been jamming together since 2014. We went through like a brief. We found these other guys on Craigslist too, and they kind of helped push us a little bit, but unfortunately things didn't work out with them. And it wasn't until we solidified the lineup last year when we found our singer Marcelo from the site called Bandmix, if you're familiar, which is kind of like similar. It's like,
Yep.
yeah. And then so that's the core, the three of us. And then on bass, at least on the record on bass, we had a friend of ours, Mario Gonzalez, play on the EP, and we've had fill-in bassists since then. Not to leave him out, but so in Los Angeles, specifically in Hollywood, every Monday night they have like these kind of jam nights.
Okay.
And when we were looking for a full-time bass player, I decided, let me go to one of these jam nights, see what it's all about. So I went to this jam night, and it's kind of like it's actually a really interesting setup because there's this one person who runs it, and he assigns musicians songs to play, and never having rehearsed it before you get up on stage and play it. And there are a lot of fantastic and phenomenal musicians there. And I met this guy named Glenn who plays saxophone on the record, and he's only recently become like a member of the band. And there was one day when we were watching, and not to discredit the evening or anything, but we were watching the jam night. I was like, man, this is just like really lame karaoke. Like, what the heck is happening here? And I think Glenn mentions like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool if like one of these songs, like someone just like ripped like a Mars Volta type thing. I was like, what did you say? Mars Volta? Yeah, at this Hollywood jam night? And that's how all that came together.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I always like when, and it's the same thing that I hear from like a lot of bands. It's not always like the first things, but like it's just the culmination of like meeting other people, especially like I can resonate. I love Closure in Moscow. And when you said that, I was like, okay, like we're already friends and we don't even know it, so that's cool. But like it's cool how like music connects other people to like either be in a band or just like be friends, just like either through the internet or like in person. It's kind of a cool experience.
Oh, absolutely. And it was kind of an interesting moment because I don't know if did you get to see Closure in Moscow in this most recent go around that they did?
I did not. Unfortunately, the closest place that it came to me was New York City, and that's about like a 2-hour plus drive from my house. So. Okay.
Absolutely go see them if you get the chance. James and I, we made a point of going and seeing them, and we actually were able to talk to a few of them after the show and just be like, hey, we have this band that we put together that literally would not have existed if it wasn't for you guys. So that was like a nice moment for James and I.
How did they respond, if you don't mind me asking?
They were very cool about it. They're a bunch of they're sweethearts. They're all like pun intended, I guess, with this song. Yeah. they were all super super cool about it. They're, from what I can tell, they were very very happy to be back in the States, and was like, yeah, we weren't gonna take this opportunity to miss out. But they had a really really good reception too, because they opened for Protest the Hero, and um, I was kind of there more so for Closure in Moscow than I was for Protest the Hero, and I think it I think the audience, they definitely got that from the audience at times. So it was really really cool to see them, and they seem to really be enjoying the tour as well.
I'm hoping they come back again because I know I definitely beat myself up for not going to it, but I'll definitely be catching them hopefully next year. But my next question, Max, kind of it just kind of to segue the conversation. What are some favorite venues you guys like to play at or go see shows at?
Ooh, so there's this one venue out here. I will say two venues in Los Angeles, but I'm going to give a special shout out to Churchill's Pub in Miami. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida, and
Okay.
the thing about rock music in Miami is that it's not even a secondary market. So a lot of the bands that play in Miami have to be really, really successful because they're definitely taking a hit in cost, to drive all the way down the Panhandle, play Miami, and turn around and like basically go back up to
Yeah.
the rest of the United States. So growing up, there was only one real rock venue to play at, and that was Churchill's Pub in North Miami. They've gone to change in ownership, but still, you can go there and it's still an awesome time. You're going to get like grungy punk bands and just kind of like literally the nice thing about Churchill's is that it can facilitate like kids that just want to play music. Like I've seen bands where it looked and sounded like they had just learned how to play their instruments like a week before, and it's awesome that they even kind of give them a stage. So special shouts out to Miami. So for All Systems Go, we played at this venue called the Satellite, and we love the sound there. It sounds really really cool. It's in Silver Lake, so it's in with the hip crowd for sure, and they put on like a dance party every Saturday night, and every time I go there, I always have a great time. And when we played there, like it sounded good on stage and off stage, so it was really really cool. And then there's a venue that we played recently called the Study, and that's in Hollywood. It's just off Hollywood Boulevard. It's like right around the corner from the Capitol Records building. And the inside, it's designed to look like a study, like a library. So it's like a really 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 cool vibe. And since like I don't want to say like it has a built-in audience, but it kind of does because it's just right off the Hollywood Boulevard. So like you kind of get like that spillover of tourists.
Yeah.
But after the live music finishes, they kind of turn it into like a club, and they were playing after we finished our set. They were playing like '90s hip hop and R&B, and it's like, all right, it's a good time.
Awesome, awesome. To kind of follow up venues, what was the last show that you attended?
Um, it may have actually been that Closure in Moscow Protest the Hero show. Yeah, I actually think it was.
Awesome, awesome. My next question, Max, probably the most important question. What are some of your musical influences?
Ooh, as a guitar player, it's very easy to kind of only listen to guitar players. So I do try to expand and listening to the other musicians, or at least other musicians that you wouldn't necessarily find inspiration from as a guitar player.
Of course.
I'll go top five in no order, with the exception of number one, and say number one is Jimmy Page. I think Jimmy, like
Well,
when I first heard Jimmy Page, is like this is just kind of like a new level for me. There's a lot of things that he did that people try to replicate and do. Like Led Zeppelin was kind of like the blueprint for all rock bands, or even like prog rock bands. If you listen to the song Achilles' Last Stand, which is on their record Presence,
correct.
that is Deleuze in the Comatorium 30 years before that record came out. That being said, I also love Omar Rodriguez Lopez's playing. It's kind of interesting in that Jimmy Page kind of like, as a young guitar player, Jimmy Page kind of taught me the rules, like the 4/4 rock, blues bass, 1/4/5 blues progressions, like that kind of rock music. And then Omar's like, no, we're going to break all these walls down, sort of thing. Lots of atonal stuff, like even like stuff that he didn't At the Drive-In, just kind of intentionally left out of tune. And then I also love Paul Gilbert. Paul Gilbert's an
Yes.
awesome,
Yeah.
like I love Racer X, and I love the stuff that he did with Mr. Big, and that's one of those guys where he's a shredder, but he's also incredibly tasteful,
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
and that's one of those things where it's just like I love melody. It's cool. I see a lot of people online where they can definitely shred the gnar. They can run circles around me guitar wise, but melodically there isn't really anything to like latch onto. Um, and I also really like. I saw that you interviewed her, Yvette Young.
Yes.
She is awesome. Um, what she does in kind of turning the guitar into like a bit of a piano, like she has like her own thing. It's almost kind of indescribable, and I hesitate to call it math rock, or at least the style that what she does. But it's all very clean, but it's also jazz, but it's also like pop, but
Yeah.
what she's doing is incredible with the instrument. And it's one of those things where like you have all like those old curmudgeons writing like Guitar Player and Guitar World magazines like, oh, what's the next evolution of guitar? And if you had to ask me, I'd say it'd be Yvette.
Oh, absolutely. I would
and then
100% agree with that.
and then kind of going on with shred, and um I'm gonna go another one. I'll say I love Dimebag Darrell.
Yeah.
Dimebag is an awesome guitar player. Same thing, he can shred, but like his sense of timing and melody, and just like there's this, he won't come in on the one, he'll come in on the offbeat for like some of his solos, and he just kind of keeps going. And then also kind of playing off of Yvette and shred, but Sergio from Stolas,
Yes. He's
um,
amazing.
he does some really interesting things with his tapping, and I think it's really unique in the sense that it kind of straddles the line between what we would call that indie math rock sort of thing, but also kind of has like that traditional like Van Halen like stuff that he would do, and just like, oh, it's super cool. And of course I love his chord choices as well, where just
Yes.
like there would be times where like he has really interesting voicings, and I wouldn't even I would go so far as to call them jazz voicings, but at the same time it's like, no, this is still major minor, but the way he plays and voices them is very unique.
I would also agree, like, and just seeing him in different like projects, like I saw him like pretty recently in Idola when they played, because he got added on to their band, and then he's in Royal Coda with like Kurt Travis, all those guys, and so like just his like ability to kind of, I guess, what I'd consider him to be is like a chameleon guitar player, where like it doesn't matter what band he's in, he can just kind of like morph his way into some band and making sounds. So I would definitely consider he's a completely underrated guitar player in this like scene of music. So it's
Absolutely.
cool to hear that. Paul Gilbert is one of my favorites too. He's just like one wild guitar player, like, and I don't think he gets enough love either. I know like a lot of people do love him, but like I would say within like our spectrum of music, I feel like he's not like as prominent, I guess, if that makes sense. Like it's just like I don't know, I love his shit, so I'm totally down for that. And then just Yvette like is like wild. I definitely agree with you on the fact that like she is the next, or just like that whole genre of like people who do that sort of stuff are like kind of like the next iteration of like solo artists, things of that nature. Like I love Intervals. They're really great. They're from Canada. And then Pliny, who's actually on tour at Tesseract, he's wild. So I would check both of those if you haven't already, Max.
I have heard Pliny before. I have not heard, you said intervals.
Intervals, yeah.
Okay, I've heard
Aaron Marshall,
invalids, I think so. I think I'm confusing
Invalids,
the two of
yep,
them.
they're great too. And then Nick Johnson is kind of more along the lines of like bluesy, kind of like old school. But he's a shredder too, but he's got like just a melodic sensibility too. So maybe you got some homework to do now, Max.
No, I think the melodic sensibility is incredibly important, especially with the type of music that we do. I think from day one, when I first met James at that bar after the Closure in Moscow thing, we had basically our mantra that we took to heart was, regardless of what we do, we want to have a pop sensibility. We want to be listenable. So that's something that we take to heart. Whether pop is um, hip hop or R&B, or just or Incubus sort of thing.
Yeah,
Just like we want to be able to be listenable and digestible and melodic.
that's awesome. My next question, Max, to kind of follow up influences, who have you been jamming recently?
Ooh, recently I have been listening to this Japanese band, Ling Tosit Sugure. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing that right. Um, they're a three-piece Japanese, I guess we'll say for the sake of genre, post-hardcore, and they're awesome. They have their guitar player like loves Telecaster, so there's a lot of like the overdriven single coil tone
Yeah.
thing. But there's this one song that they do, which you should check out, called Film Sick Mystery, and
Okay.
there's a very, very cool like call and response conversation where it starts off drums and bass first, but then there's a call and response between the bass and the guitar, and it's really, really, really groovy and really catchy. And I've had that song on repeat. I also love Foals. I've been
Yeah,
listening
False.
to. I always kind of come back to Antidotes a whole bunch. Um, and I've been giving the newest Incubus EP a listen, or record a re-listen, because I listened to it the first time. It's like, okay, I mean, I still love Incubus, but let me just kind of give it another chance. And then the new J. Cole record is incredible as well,
Yeah.
if you're into hip hop.
Yeah, I'm like I dabble. I'm not like fully invested in hip hop, but there are some like artists that I like. Kendrick, of course, like J. Cole. I think Logic's pretty decent. I know his stuff is pretty good. There's definitely somebody else that I listen to in hip hop that I can't think off the top of my head, but yeah, I kind of dabble into it. I'm not too much invested into it, but uh, I'll definitely give it more of a listen.
There's my friend turned me onto this group. It's a duo, and they're called PR Rhyme or Prime, but it's PR because Puerto Rico,
Okay.
and I believe it's Royce the 5'9", and his name is escaping me right now. But they have two records out, and it's really, really good, like beat driven hip hop.
Okay.
I'm not going to get into like the whole SoundCloud cloud trap rapper thing that's kind of going on, because it's a very polarizing conversation to talk
It
about.
is.
But hearing PR Rhyme was very, very refreshing.
Okay. Okay, cool. I can get down with that. Yeah, like I kind of dabble in that sort of stuff too, the SoundCloud stuff. I wouldn't say that. Don't put words in my mouth. I would not say that I'm a fan of like Little Pump or like any of that shit. Cause no offense to everybody who likes that, but I think that's garbage. But
I I I love Lil Uzi Vert. When I
oh
first
wait,
heard
oh no, oh
when
my
I
god,
first heard EXO Tour Life, I'm like, I can't get behind this. But then maybe I got Stockholm syndromed into it after the 15th time. It's like, you know what? This is actually a really well written song. That I really, really like the beat. It's pretty catchy. I also did want to say that I listened to going with the nice thing about Spotify is just the discovery.
yeah,
Um,
Discovery Weekly or something.
yeah, there's an electronic progressive, I guess we'll call it progressive house. If you're into like Dead Mouse or anything, or like old Cascade, but his name is Shingo Nakamura, and he's always putting out singles. He put out a single called Oregon, and but he also does like these continuous mixes that can last like 4 hours sometimes, and I'll just have him in the background while I'm working or working on something, and it's really, really good.
It's like that YouTube channel is like chill beats or something like that
Yeah,
on YouTube. Like,
Chill Beats to Study too. They
there
got
you
the
go.
anime person. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, my next question, Max, a fun one. If you guys could pick a song to cover, what would it be?
Hmm. I real I really, really been trying to convince our singer Marcelo to cover "Earned It" by The Weekend, especially
Ooh,
like putting
okay.
on kind of like a weird spin. Although like we like covering songs because it's nice to have in the back pocket for like a set,
Yeah.
whether we do well enough for an encore or just like, oh crap, well, we're like, the promoter will be like, you guys have 10 more minutes. It's just like, okay, well, let's draw something out. But I think that one's been on my mind lately because it's just like, Marcelo, your voice would sound great. So Marcelo, our singer, is Brazilian, and he has this incredible sense of like, I mean, without, it's just like he's from Latin America, or Brazil, and he
Yeah.
grew up around that, so he kind of has that sense of like kind of groove and
That
rhythm. So
Latin,
it's like,
that Latin flair. I got you.
right. So just like we have to do something with this song and make it kind of, but at the same time make it kind of weird. All systems no style. Kind of do that. Although we have been covering the Hell Song by Sum 41,
Oh,
and
nice.
Glenn does the the guitar line on sax. So the
Oh,
da na 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 na, he's doing it on sax.
oh,
It's
that's
really really fun.
that would be wicked. And I feel like for cover songs, and why I asked this question is because like it always gives me an idea of like where you guys could go in terms of like picking songs out and like making them your own, and as well as like just like songs that you could play live that people know, like what I mean. That's like the whole thing about a cover song is like if somebody sees you play like off the street or something, or like at a venue, or they're like just walking by and they're like, that song, I know that song, like for sure, and then maybe they'll check you out. It's like that's a cool experience for me. I wouldn't say as much because like I feel like I'm invested in this sort of stuff, so it's like
Hmm.
I'm down for it. But like just some guy like or girl off the street would be like, oh, I know that song. Maybe let me go check them out. Maybe I'll like it.
Right. I mean, of course, as an artist and band, you want to play, you want to play your music, and you want to play, your style
Of
and everything
course.
like that. And it's very incredibly self-satisfying to play the songs that we grew up on, or inspired us. So I would love to cover Roulette Dares by the Mars Volta, but that could be a bit of a crowd killer. You just kind of have to know the audience, sort of thing.
Definitely, definitely. My next question, Max, another fun one. Gotta ask this one. Favorite food to eat?
Ooh, I'm gonna go. I mean, I'll start with cuisine and then narrow it down. So being from Miami, I absolutely love Cuban food. Um, and I don't know if I'd eat it all the time, but I do love it, like the masas de puerco, which is like fried pork chunks.
Yes, correct.
But I'll say that my top three favorite things in life, one of them is Cuban coffee. So a good cafecito in the morning really gets me, really gets the day going.
Nice, nice, awesome. My next question, Max, if you could pick somebody to collaborate with, whether it be a guest feature or just produce a role, who would you choose?
Um, I'm gonna say two people.
Okay.
One of them is Sergio, and the other one is my buddy Chad, who actually he played drums in Stolas for one of those tours.
Sick.
But I saw him play with his band called Markets. It's MRKTS without the vowels, and he has an incredible sense of time. And I've asked him, it's like, are you playing with the click? And he's like, nope. I'm like, oh, come on, man. But it's cool because I know it's kind of big in the news right now, but they actually covered a Kanye song, and it actually sounded really, really good.
Oh,
So
sick.
to kind of do maybe like a dark pop weird thing with Sergio on guitar, and then I'll play like Rhodes or something, and then Chad on drums. I think that would be kind of neat.
That has to be in the works now. I'm gonna hit up Sergio and be like, yo, let's get it. Awesome. Next
And I will
question.
say, and then I will say, of course, a dream collab is like Jimmy Page. Just like let me play, or just like please like play on our record, like anything. So
That would be, I mean, just to be in the same room as Jimmy Page, I mean, I feel like would just be, I'd be like, if we're gonna do a song, that's cool too, but like, just to be in the same room and like learn from somebody that's just been there and does it.
mhm. I
Um,
also think it would be like, again, it would be cool just kind of like go off a genre. Like I think it would be kind of cool to like be a fly on the wall, and like say like with Tom Waits, or even it's kind of a touchy subject right now, but like out like if Kanye were to call me up and be like, hey, do you want to do like a guitar line on this new thing, and be like, yes, maybe, yes, but yeah.
awesome, awesome. My next question, Max, if there was another musical instrument that you could just like rip at, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm gonna say cello.
Ooh,
I think cello is a really, really, really beautiful sounding instrument. That's one. There are like a lot of the suites, just like Bach cello suites that I've heard transposed on piano and guitar, but it's not the same. So for that question, I'm gonna say cello.
awesome, awesome. My next question, Max, my personal favorite question. If you could be a video game character, who would you be?
I would be an L block from Tetris. No, I'm just kidding. I've actually spent almost 90 hours into Monster Hunter World right now.
Oh boy.
So I hesitate to say a character from Monster Hunter, but I'll say real answer right now because I still think about the series a lot is we'll say Corvo Tano from Dishonored, just to be super specific and niche. So
I like that. I like that. I'm glad you didn't go with the Tetris L, or you be taking L's right now. So, uh, complete and absolute pun intended. But my next question, Max, in your opinion, who puts on a great live show in terms of like bands you've seen live?
there is a band that we played that opened for us called they're local out here. They're actually from Compton, called the Roscoe's Wild Child,
Okay.
and it's this two-piece guitar and drums. And Glenn, the guitar player, is a dead ringer for Jimi Hendrix. If you he well, one, he wears leather pants and he never plays with the shirt on. But if you close your eyes, he sounds and plays just like Jimi Hendrix. But there's like a lot of audience participation stuff that he does. I'll never forget it because like he'll do like the whole Jimi Hendrix thing. He'll like get sexual with his guitar and stuff. We played this show with them once, and it was so good. So like he was doing his thing, playing guitar, and this woman is dancing, up on the stage, and Glenn walks over to her and is like, "Hey baby, what's your favorite color?" And she goes, "Yellow." And he's like, "I can't work with that," and walks to the other end of the stage while still playing his solo. So those guys put on an awesome show.
Awesome, awesome. My next question to follow up, a favorite band that you've seen live. If you could compile a dream tour, who'd be on it?
Ooh,
I'll give you like five bands because we are just gonna go all out.
yeah. So I guess a dream tour it would include us. All systems no. I would love to play with Incubus. Um, I'll say I'd say we'd open.
Okay.
We'd play with Incubus, um, Mars Volta.
Ooh.
So that's three. Um, I'd like to throw some electronic music in there. I think like Daft Punk being on that bill would be really really interesting.
Okay.
Um, and then I think with Mastodon. So I'll say us, Mars Volta, Mastodon, Daft Punk, and then Incubus. Or
Wow.
did I get there right? Yeah.
That'd be a wild. That I feel like all the Daft Punk people would be like, "Who's next? Who's Mastodon? I've never heard of Mastodon before."
I love those weird lineups though. I love like,
Cross
and that's the thing.
genres.
Yeah, like I mean, once upon a time, Coachella and Lollapalooza really didn't used to be so genre specific, and you had like those festivals like Woodstock back in the '60s were so legendary because you had people like you had Santana and Jimi Hendrix, The Who and Jefferson Airplane all playing, and while they were rock music, there was definitely
A difference.
birds of a different feather. So I'll also I'll throw Block Party on that too. It's like I would love some of the best shows that I've been to have been ones where the band sounded nothing alike. So I think kind of in keeping with that, and also it's kind of fun to see people's faces when, yeah, let's just say you have like the Daft Punk people, then all of a sudden Mastodon's playing, everyone's like, huh, what? So
No, I totally get you on that. Like, and I also like it too, because of the amount of shows that I go to, it's like, it's good for me to see something different and that I wouldn't expect. Like one of the shows that I went to, there's this band from California. They're called Hearts Like Lions. They're incredible, and they're probably close to you, where you live. And they're great, and they toured with this band called The Ongoing Concept, and they're kind of more like I don't know if you've heard of the band Let Live.
oh yeah, of course.
They're kind of like off the wall, but more like they're from like the Midwest, so they're like they throw like weird sort of stuff into their music, and so they like Hearts Like Lions like more like indie rock, and like these guys are like straight like super intense like post-hardcore music. So that was cool. It was like in a tiny ass room, but that like I love seeing that because it's just like okay, like I can have those chill moments with like that softer band, and then I can have those like really kind of like fun upbeat moments with like a more aggressive band.
Yeah, hell yeah. I think like the Mars Volta, they curated a festival a while ago, and they had like the Locust playing with them, and then the Mars Volta. So just like, yeah, so like those sort of eclectic lineups I love. Like even like when they're unintentional, because like we'll play some shows here, and like we'll have like a singer songwriter pop act like like play, and like it'll be like super super cool. Like she's really really good, and then you'll have what was that one show that we played? It was like it was like kind of like indie electronica, and that was really really interesting. And then there was us, so like we sounded nothing like each other, but like I think there's always really kind of something cool to. I love live music, so there's always really something cool to draw from like an act, even though they might be incredibly different.
I think you can learn to appreciate the different styles of music and like where people come from in a musical perspective. Like when I see like a wild band play, and then when I see like kind of like a more softer like singer songwriter band play, like I can appreciate the person who's taking the time to kind of like strip back and do a lot less, and then I can have like those moments where okay, it's not really focused upon like how they play, it's just like the energy of the show and like how much crowd engagement you can get. So I agree with you on the live like aspect. I love seeing that shit. But getting back to the questions, Max, favorite TV show, favorite movie?
Favorite movie, Zoolander. No, that was just the first one that came to my mind. I think my favorite movie, I would, I a lot of friends of mine, if they saw me answer anything but The Empire Strikes Back, they'd be like, "Max, you're a liar."
I
So,
was gonna say because you got a lot of Star Wars stuff that I can see
oh
in the
yeah,
back there. So
I got a Boba Fett helmet up there
I can see
somewhere.
that.
So The Empire Strikes Back, I'm really really big on. And then favorite TV series, um, the anime answer is Evangelion.
Oh yeah, great.
The I guess like traditional TV show, I would say How I Met Your Mother because I watched that a lot in college with my good friends. So I'm gonna go with that. Those are my answers for for
I'm
those.
gonna ask. I'm gonna ask you this because I also am a How I Met Your Mother fan. How would you feel about the ending of? I'm just gonna put that out there. If you haven't seen the ending, we're just gonna spoil it because it's been like God knows how many years since the end of this TV series. But
So I would say I was satisfied with it. I
okay,
thought, considering how they had all that pre-planning to do, and like how like the kid actors they had got older, so I know that they always kind of had that in their back pocket. I don't think they were expecting the show to be as successful or wildly popular as it became. So I think initially when I first saw it, I'm like, all right, okay. But one of the things, my friend who's a huge fan of the show, he actually showed me the table read that the actors did
okay,
for the episode, because I know that they had, because of the backlash, they put out like an extended ending. But I think it's online somewhere. It's not on YouTube. It's like on Vimeo or Dailymotion.
okay.
But it is all the actors reading the table read, and there was a lot that they had to cut out. And I understand, when you're making a television show, you need time constraints and
Of
all those things.
course.
But I think the biggest problem with, and spoiler alert, anyone watching this, is was with was it sorry was it was Trixie or her death.
Yes, I think you're right. I don't know. It's been a while since I watched the end because it's just like PTSD. But
So the nice thing about the table read is that they discuss, like, there's actual time for Ted to grieve.
okay,
Like there's actual time for him to like grieve and mourn, her death, whereas in the original ending of the show, it's almost cut to like, oh, she passed away, I'm gonna go try and get Robin now,
yeah, there
sort
you
of.
go.
So there was no time in between. But the table read actually kind of satisfies that a bit. So having watched the finale and then watched the table read, it's like, what, I'm okay with it now. I can make my peace with that.
I don't know if you're gonna sway me with that, Max, because that still cuts deep. That's still one of those like that's like up there with like the Office ending. Like, oh man, that's so rough. But I kind of get more of an idea now than I have ever been that I ever had about that show. So maybe I'll
I'd
have to
say
go
I'd
watch
say
it.
give at least the table read a chance. So it's been a few years.
There we go. Awesome. My next question, Max. If there was one album that you could listen to for a month straight, what album would it be?
Hmm. Today I will say Led Zeppelin's "Houses of the Holy." That's one I could listen to. Like if it's like a deserted island sort of situation, that's one I wouldn't mind having.
Awesome.
Um, I'll say backup answer. Um, let's say Thriller.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a
Yeah,
good one. That's a classic. I
yeah,
mean, it's Michael Jackson for a reason. So
yeah. And then if I'm going to be on a deserted island, I like to at least maybe attempt to get cheered up,
enjoy
whereas with,
myself. Yeah.
right.
And lastly, Max, probably the most important thing we're going to talk about today. Tell them about your band, All System Know, where they can find you at, and anything coming up in the next couple months.
So, All Systems Know is we'll say, prog rock band with a pop sensibility. You can find us on Instagram.com/All Systems Know. We're also on Twitter, All Systems Know. We have a website, All Systems Know. You can find us on Spotify, Tidal, Tinder, Snapchat. I think we're on Apple Music, we're on iTunes, we're on all that stuff. And as far as anything coming up, we're in the process of booking 2 shows in June,
Okay.
and then we just put out our EP in February, but we're looking to record maybe a couple singles coming up, maybe. But also we're planning on releasing a music video as well.
Awesome, awesome. Well, go check out All Systems Know. All links are in our descriptions where you can find out about their band, music, things of that nature. If you live out in California, go check them out. Probably more specifically the LA area because California is huge. So go check out their stuff. Um, Shout outs to just the internet. I don't know. I'm just gonna ask you, like, were you just searching for Still Lost interviews and you just happen to come across the channel? I always ask this question for bands that I have zero contact with, and then I get an email like out of the blue. I'm just curious.
200% yes. I was looking up Solus interviews. I
Okay,
was on YouTube and I saw it. I was like, oh, and then I kind of fell down the rabbit hole, and I saw your Yvette interview as well.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're just like, man, this guy looks like a complete asshole. So let me just hit him up with an email and like say if he sucks or not.
It's like, hey, we have similar tastes, kind of like the Closure in Moscow thing on Craigslist. And then I saw your Royal Coda review as well, and your Under Oath review. So I was just like, yeah, I gotta hit this guy up.
Thank you. Well, I can see the poster up in the top right, so I know.
Yep.
I know. But definitely go check out Max's band, All Systems Know. If you enjoyed this interview, please subscribe. Please hit that thumbs up. It goes a long way. And thanks, of course, to Max for coming on.
Thank you, Brandon.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.